Well, greetings again, everyone. This is a very particular episode of Blu-Ray News because we're talking all about Disney. A lot of big announcements in terms of them releasing stuff on physical media right now, but I kind of want to step back through some stuff I've already covered in terms of other pieces of Disney news concerning their physical media release strategies and stuff like that. Recently, the whole thing where they decided that they're going to stop producing and releasing physical media out in Australia because I guess the sales numbers weren't strong enough to keep going on that division and that market. So they pulled that away. And the thing several months ago where they kind of inked a deal with Mill Creek to kind of just re-release a bunch of stuff on DVD and Blu-ray without doing anything new or special or anything like that. It was just kind of like re-releasing the stuff that was already released many years ago from the back catalog. So not major type things. They weren't very promising things in terms of like getting new stuff out and getting remastered things or getting things out that had been out on physical media before. Well, all that's starting to change right now because they've recently announced in the last week there are several projects that have been stuck on streaming, be Hulu or Disney Plus, that are now coming to physical media. So this is a pretty big thing. After we've heard a lot of stuff in recent times, if you're following that sort of news feed about the financials for streaming services are not going very well, and a lot of the markets on that whole thing, a lot of projections on the whole thing, are not being very profitable for the long term, and they haven't been very much profitable over the last couple of years. They poured in so many billions of dollars, all these companies, into building these infrastructures and building out these streaming services and pouring so much money into all these shows and movies and stuff like that. I haven't seen as much of a return on investment. And Bob Iger, the entire CEO of Disney, who's also embroiled in all the stuff with the strikes with the SAG-AFTRA and WGA and stuff like that, along with all these other studios and whatnot, really starting to take a tide and change their strategies here to kind of look forward to other revenue streams where that was usually the thing back in the day, especially for movies, theatrical release or something else like that. You wouldn't just stick them on a streaming service. You'd have the theatrical run, you'd have the home media release, and you kind of license them out for network televisions and HBO and Showtime and stuff like that. You'd always have additional revenue streams to filter it out and get more income and have a long life of revenue streams for that product. And that's kind of evaporated with the entire streaming service platform type of thing. So it's like we make it for the streaming service, it stays on there, and there's no other revenue stream. So it's only the matter of people signing up or continuing to maintain their subscriptions over the months that creates any revenue there. So once the thing's out, and it's been out for a couple of years or something like that, it's not really generating new revenue. It's kind of just stagnant. So have this entire idea of like, okay, now we're going to go back and give them physical media releases. We're going to put them on DVD. We're going to put them on Blu-ray, 4K. And that's where the news comes to this point in time because the Predator prequel film, Prey, from Dan Trachtenberg, that was released last year on Hulu. Internationally, it was released on Disney Plus Star or something else like that, but it's been locked on streaming services, and people have been clamoring. They've been banging down the door. Give us a physical media release on the whole thing. And all that type of stuff. Since the film pretty much came out, they've been wanting like a theatrical release, they've been wanting a home media release, something else like that, and they finally announced last week it is getting it. And it's not a bare bones deal. They're putting this full in there. Fuller than some other releases Disney tends to do with like some of their Marvel films. Some of the Marvel films, they put some short, kind of inconsequential sort of featurettes on there. They're not very good, and they put a lot more stuff out on Disney Plus. But the fact is, they're giving this the full treatment. Prey is coming out on October 3rd. Blu-ray, 4K. You're going to have Dolby Atmos on the 4K. You're going to have 5.1 DTS master audio on the Blu-ray. But the fact of the matter is, you've got a making of Prey documentary on this whole thing, entire behind-the-scenes featurette and the whole thing. You're going to have entire, almost like a Comic-Con panel and whatnot with the director, the cast, crew, and stuff like that. You've got deleted scenes, turn of opening scene. You're going to actually have an audio commentary from Dan Trachtenberg and Amber Midthunder and a bunch of other people in the entire film. Plus, you're going to have that Comanche language audio track that was on Hulu and everything else. You'll be able to switch between the actual original audio track for the film and the full Comanche audio version of it, which was dubbed for the entire film. This is like full bore. Everything we've been wanting. And it's going to have a special Best Buy Steelbook edition you can pre-order now, and you're going to have the regular slipcase edition. So it's like, great. This is great. I love the entire film. I don't like Hulu. Because of course I watched it on Hulu. I did the video of it and stuff like that. I watched it at least twice. And the problem is Hulu's not very much up on the times in terms of compatibility with different devices and stuff like that. It's like on my TV, I can get it on 4K, but I only get 2.0 stereo sound. if I want to do 5.1 audio, I've got to screen mirror it from my iPhone onto the TV, but I only get HD video. So it's like, Hulu is so behind the times. When you look at Disney Plus, where they put a lot of time and effort and money into building the infrastructure, we got Atmos, you got Dolby Vision and stuff like that. Hulu's just not gotten along far enough to have that sort of built out compatibility with all these devices or whatnot. It's very much behind the times in that regard. So getting this on physical media was the main thing for me. It's like, okay, I want to watch this thing in 4K. I want to have the best audio quality. I want all the best picture quality. I want all that stuff on the top of the thing. So that's why I want this thing. And it's coming out, like I said, October 3rd. Like I said, you can go pre-order the Steelbook right now from Best Buy. And I think the slipcover version is probably going to be hitting retailers shortly, whatnot, to kind of pre-order the whole thing for yourselves. But this is great. The fact that they're putting together some really strong bonus material, which might have been pre-made or whatnot. I don't know if a lot of the stuff obviously was pre-made. But the fact of the matter is they were clearly had a lot of the stuff planned out ahead of time to get this thing on before we had the SAG-AFTRA strike hitting and stuff like that. So they're building up to this for probably a couple of months right now, and they finally just dropped it recently or whatnot. They were going to release this whole thing. So that's a great type of thing, because I don't think any of these bonus features aside from the Comanche language audio track was available on Hulu or anything else like that. So I think a lot of this is like brand new stuff for everyone to kind of dig into and really enjoy so much. And as is with Disney, with all the stuff I'm talking about today, there's no Dolby Vision on the disc. It's only HDR10. And as far as we know, since none of these things have been announced to be released in like Prime Video or Vudu or Apple TV or something else like that, as far as we know, there's no digital codes in the whole thing. So you're just getting the physical disc and that's it. So unless they kind of turn a corner and decide to put it out for you to rent and buy on all these other platforms, you're probably just getting the physical disc and there's no digital codes. But we'll see how that goes. But as it is on the packaging, the information we have now for the press release, that's not included in the whole thing. So anything on that, but slight thing on that regard. But the other thing that just dropped, which is pretty stellar in such a degree, because they're putting out some of the seasons of their Disney Plus, Marvel, and Star Wars series. They're starting out with just a couple of things. The first one going to be Loki Season 1, since Season 2 is coming out shortly. September 26th is going to be released. Right now, we just know about Steelbook editions of these versions, of these releases. But the fact is, again, putting out on 4K and Blu-ray, you're going to have 100 gigabyte discs for this whole thing, because Disney's been pretty well known for not going for 100 gigabyte discs. Usually step back to 66, and people kind of have a little problems in that regard. Because if you have 100 gigabytes, you can have a much higher bit rate on the compression, stuff like that, and the mastering of the entire thing on the disc. But since they're actually putting on like a lot of different episodes and stuff like that, they're kind of expanding things out with bonus features and stuff like that. It seems logical to a certain degree to kind of put it out on a 100 gigabyte disc. You can maximize the space and not produce as many discs for the entire thing. And these are all 2 disc sets. So you're getting, the only thing that we've gotten for bonus features so far is Loki Season 1. They're going to have a making of featurette, a designing the TVA featurette, deleted scenes, official TVA orientation video, and with all these you're getting concept art cards. There's going to be at least 3 of them included in every single one of these season sets. And that's pretty incredible. And again, there's no Dolby Vision, HDR10 only, but the fact is, they're giving you the Dolby Atmos sound. And on the Blu-rays, it's just, again, 5.1 DTS Master Audio HD. But it's a pretty big thing, because they're doing that in September. Then in November, on the 28th, you're getting WandaVision. And that's going to have pretty much this similar sort of thing going on with copper steelbook packaging. And you're going to have the concept art cards, and then later on, when we're close to the release, they won't release exactly what the bonus features are for that entire season or whatnot, the entire limited series. But come December 12th, they're putting the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian on 4K and Blu-ray, the same sort of steelbook packaging, all that type of stuff. So it's pretty much all the same specs across the board, the same audio specs, the same disc specs, the capacities and whatnot. They're all put on 2 different discs in each set. So this is pretty big. This is like pretty big, because again, it's a really major step forward to break out of this streaming sort of cage everything's kind of locked into. And like, there's so many things like, man, I'd really like to watch that film, but it's like, I don't want to pay for an entire month streaming service sort of plan or whatnot just to watch one movie or watch one series or something else like that. It's like, whatnot. But if you put it on disc, then I can watch it whenever I want to once I buy it. And that was the kind of thing I did when I bought the first 2 seasons of Daredevil and the first season of Jessica Jones about 3 years ago on Blu-ray, because I just kind of got sick of doing the shuffle around from one streaming service to the next every single month. I just want to have them. Just want to have them, watch whenever I want to, and you don't have to keep paying a recurring fee all the time to just have access to them. And considering I haven't had Disney Plus in, I don't know, over a year, there's not much on there that I'm very much interested in it. Kind of hopeful if these things sell very well, they go off very, very strongly, maybe they'll go back and give us some of those legacy series or whatnot, because they are putting that whole thing together with that new Daredevil series. That's kind of in pause right now because of the strikes and everything like that, but I could see them doing the same thing with Daredevil. Giving that, because season 3 never got released on Blu-ray. Just the first 2 seasons, then they kind of have all these struggles and disagreements about breaking up the deal with Netflix, and eventually went over to Disney Plus and stuff like that. But regardless of the whole thing, I could see them kind of tapping that. If they get to a certain point where they're a couple months away from releasing that Daredevil Born Again series, and these things sell very strongly, I could definitely see them putting out those 3 seasons of Daredevil like a complete series pack or something else like that. Gives it in 4K like we didn't have before. Maybe we'll have bonus features which we never got before. Those Blu-rays are bare bones. You just get the episodes and nothing else. So, it's something to consider. So we could see further down the line, they could put that stuff out. And of course, all the other series they have, the stuff like Boba Fett and Andor and a couple other things, Falcon the Winter Soldier, probably might hit before they put out the new Captain America film, which is Brave New World or something else like that. Interesting type of stuff. So they've got a lot of things coming up in the next year or so. They could tap into releasing other series they have in their catalog onto these physical media platforms, on these formats and whatnot, if things do sell very well, and I think they will sell well. Because they're putting on Blu-ray and 4K, and I think there's definitely a market, a definitely strong market for the diehard fans and stuff like that. They'd really want to grab this stuff. The collectors would definitely grab these steelbooks, no problem. I think there's definitely a strong way that these are going to go, because I've seen a lot of fervor to get a lot of stuff, just not just these series, but just like series in general. People absolutely love. They're, again, locked in that streaming cage to get them released and on physical media. So I think this has a lot of potential. I think this has a lot of potential. I think Iger has kind of talked about that they kind of like need to change up their strategies of what they're doing and kind of open things up to other possibilities of different revenue streams in that regard. And this is definitely something I absolutely advocate for. So anything that's kind of locked in streaming services is very popular. I think there definitely is a wide opportunity for whatever studio, whatever can put them out on a physical media format and really grab some extra revenue on the whole thing. So I think that's a smart thing. Physical media definitely has a strong place. They can really see where you can just market it again and get a whole new sort of wealth of income off that type of thing. So I think that's just a smart thing for them, all these studios, to really kind of go back to and look at that whole thing. And like I said before, you used to have these different tiers of when you could release it in different contexts, different platforms, stuff like that, and get a new, fresh revenue stream, kind of keep the entire thing rolling forward instead of being stagnant on just a streaming service and not going anywhere whatsoever. So, much smarter in that regard. So, guys, I really much like to hear what you feel about that. If there's any other series that you'd be definitely game to grabbing on a physical media format that has not been released in that regard, I'd like to hear about that too. And if you're grabbing any of these, I'm definitely grabbing a Prey. Absolutely. I really, really enjoyed that. You can go watch my video from last year about it if you want to get more about it. But there'll be a card at the end of the video here to go check that out if you're interested in it. But guys, let me know what your thoughts about the whole thing. Of course, there's always liking, commenting, sharing things around. Subscribe if you haven't. That helps things so much to expand the channel, get people involved here. More times you watch videos, more times you engage with things, more times you share links around. Definitely helps to expand the channel and get things much more healthier around here. Of course, there's always Patreon to contribute something every month. You'll early access. And a super thanks feature down below to kind of donate things to the channel directly. So guys, thanks much. Take care. Bye-bye.